What's really exciting is the main thing about this event is people connecting with each other, and clearly, Pleasant Hill's a community and we know each other from different places, and it's already been very fun to find out where we know each other from. So my name is Vicki Pease. I am a 21-year resident of Pleasant Hill, but I've lived in the Diablo Valley almost all my life, either Concord, Walnut Creek, Martinez, except for when I was away at college and a few other things like having to live in LA for 7 years. But I find our community just to be an incredible place, and I am currently the chair of the Pleasant Hill Commission on Aging. It's my volunteer job, and it has been a way that's connected me to Pleasant Hill in ways that I wasn't for those many years before. I've been on the commission for about a year now. So we recognize that Pleasant Hill has just a ton of resources. We looked at doing something that's called a village, maybe some of you know about, and the first response we get from everybody is, oh, well, you have that great senior center already. Like, you don't need a village kind of thing. But people recognize, this wonderful facility. So I would like to thank Holly Freitas, the director of the facility here, the director of senior services for the Park and Recreation District, for all her hard work, because she actually set all this stuff up and everything. And she knows more about seniors than I can ever hope to know, and she'll be talking to us in a few minutes. This is the mission of the Commission on Aging. So the Commission on Aging, I think I'm missing a slide, and I apologize for that, but basically the commission is appointed by the City of Pleasant Hill's City Council. So we're volunteers, we had to interview with the City Council, but our job is really to be the eyes and ears for the City Council and figuring out what is needed by the older people that live in Pleasant Hill. So we do workshops like this on a regular basis. Hopefully some of you have been to our other workshops. We do have an information table of our own back there for registering for those workshops. Overall, our job is actually to kind of keep the City Council informed if there are things that we need to let them know and that kind of thing. So we are therefore separate from the Park and Rec District that runs the senior center and all of our parks and all of the, there's many things that the Pleasant Hill Park and Rec District does, kind of connected with the Commission on Aging in a kind of a parallel fashion. So at the beginning of the year, in May, there is Older Americans Month, and the theme for this year was Flip the Script on Aging. And part of that is kind of just changing the whole narrative about what it's like to live as an older person. I think, kind of breaking down the stereotypes of, we're getting old and tired and moving slow and life isn't very fun or something silly like that, because they have actually shown, and I don't have the picture to show you, but it looks like a smile where people are happiest in their very beginning of their life, and then it kind of goes down and it gets better again as we get older. If you actually, look at the studies. What they say that happens as you get to this upper part of this smile is that it can diverge in two directions there. And a lot of that depends on many things that help keep you healthy as you're aging. And so this is one, if you go and look for the pillars of healthy aging, there are ones that are 12 pillars and ones that are 3 pillars and ones that are, lots of different people have their own models for what is important for healthy aging. But this one actually comes from a place in Colorado whose name is escaping me at the moment, I apologize. But what I want you to notice on this is just the two on the right there, the brain stimulation and the relationships and purpose. If you look at any of these models, so keeping healthy relationships and feeling like you have a purpose in life are things that we have to replace as we get past our working years. Very often those things were fulfilled by our jobs or our children. And as they get older, they don't need us as much, or they may not even be nearby. They grow up, right? I met a couple people here today that I knew when our kids were in 8th. Actually, Lauren and I got acquainted because we did an event when our 8th graders were graduating from Sequoia Middle School. And so a lot of my volunteering for years was around my kid, and then College Park Instrumental Music Boosters. I was, did lots of stuff. Well, my kids are now in their late 20s, early 30s, So that's all very different. I'm also semi-retired, so I'm still kind of holding on to work. But most of us, if we didn't have a job outside the house, or we did have a job outside the house, there were a lot of relationships we built around work. And then that changes. And so it takes some effort to replace those things. So what we're here to do today, I hope you will just talk to each other, find out why people came here. And if you meet somebody today and your question is just, what were you hoping to find here? Or what did you find that was interesting already, because you've had a chance to wander around to the people that are here representing their organizations. Because that's a good conversation starter. But making relationships is something that takes work. It takes a little effort. It's interesting to hear people's stories, and we'll hear some of them about how they have done that in their own lives. But just notice the brain stimulation and the relationship. Those folders I gave you, these are the speakers that we will have coming up here. They're all supposed to talk for limited amounts of time, even though it looks like a lot of people. They're going to quickly introduce you to either provide us with some really good information or talk to us a little bit about their organizations. It's not everybody that's here at these tables, so there's another piece of paper in there that says resources for today that has a little teeny blurb about all the organizations that are represented today. And then there's a thing in there that's multicolored. So I'm talking about these folders. If anybody wants one of these and doesn't have one, please let us know. We will bring you one. But they just have those 3 pieces of paper in there. But it's also a place to collect other stuff you get today, and maybe hold on to it as, yeah, I was interested in that, registering for a class at Mount Diablo Adult Ed, for instance, and I put that information in here, okay? So those are the other 2 pieces of paper. So that's the resources page I was talking about. There is a contact of some kind, mostly a website for any of the organizations that are here today. And then there's this thing that Juanita and I are fondly calling the activity grid. And the idea of this, because it's far from complete, mind you, because it would be very difficult to capture everything that's going on in Pleasant Hill, but you'll see it has the senior center, the Pleasant Hill Park and Rec District, Mount Diablo Adult Ed, and at the bottom of that piece of paper on the second page, those little script numbers coincide with the long name of these people. But those are the people that have like arts and crafts, and the people that have badminton and da-da-da-da, So the list is long, and the whole point of that is there should be something on there that you like doing, or that maybe you thought once upon a time that you would like to learn to do. The blessing of not having regular jobs is that we can do some more of those things, okay? All right, so I think Holly, so our first speaker is Ms. Holly Freitas. Holly, like I said, is the director of the Senior Center. She's actually the Senior Services Manager for the Pleasant Hill Recreation and Park District. I always get it backwards, I think. But Holly is a very educated young lady with a master's degree in public administration, but mostly she is, the person that makes sure this whole center runs. So Holly.
Good morning, everybody. How are you guys? Are you guys awake? Yes. You got coffee, right? Are we sure we're awake? All right. How many people here have been to the senior center? I mean, I see a few familiar faces. Okay, about 80% of the group here. Okay, so I'm Holly. I've been here for almost 19 years. I know I don't look like it. You can flatter me. Although some people here may age me a little bit more than I'd prefer. But I'm going to talk a little bit about why social connectedness is so important. Because we all know why the senior center is important, and you know what we do here in the community, but why in general it's been such an important thing, and what social isolation can do to somebody, whether it's somebody you see as a neighbor, and how you can just tell them about the resources you found today, or somebody in the Midwest. Hey, you need to go, you know, I'm hearing something that's maybe frightening me a little bit about your day. So, you know, this may be more of an educational thing. So that's how we're gonna, and feel free to interrupt me, that does not bother me. So if you have a question about something, just raise your hand or shout out at me. That doesn't bother me. So loneliness and isolation, two totally separate things, okay? So loneliness is feeling alone and disconnected from others. So you can be lonely and have a lot of friends or family around, right? So you may have 15 grandchildren, but still feel alone, correct? Social isolation, you lack that social contact or a support system, okay? You may be isolated in a rural area. You don't have transportation to get you anywhere. So you are totally isolated. That's what COVID did to a lot of people, correct? We saw that in our seniors when they couldn't get anywhere, okay? So 1 in 3 adults, so that is 18 and over, in the US report feeling lonely. So that's what technology has done to our adults, okay? That's what this epidemic we're seeing with technology is making our adults and now our children lonely. 1 in 4 people over the age of 65 are socially isolated. We, not just here in the Bay Area, it's over the United States, even if they don't feel lonely, okay? So why is social connectedness important? So there are so many reasons. These are just some bulleted points here. You run a risk, 32% increased risk of stroke, 50% increased risk of developing dementia. You no longer talk to people. So you're just sitting there, you're just watching TV all day. So your mind goes to mush. 30% increased mortality rate. You're not doing anything. So your depression, anxiety, suicide rates. So suicide rates among seniors are higher than any other population. This is not meant to scare anybody, but they aren't going to run an autopsy report on seniors, okay? Because most of the time, that's a fact. This is an older number. I don't have a newer number, but Medicare spends at least $6.7 billion annually in added cost of care for socially isolated older adults. So risk factors for social isolation and is so mental and physical challenges. So that could be chronic diseases. So if you're bound to your home, that's why Meals on Wheels has, friendly visitors. psychiatric conditions, long-term disabilities. If you're discriminated against, you don't want to leave your house. That's why we're trying to break down those barriers, get people out. If you have limited or no access to resources, such as living in rural areas, limited transportation, language barriers. If you don't speak the same language as everybody else, do you want to leave your house? No, of course not. That's why we're trying to get everybody's language included in our printed materials. And I mean, that's a no-brainer. If you are a victim of violence or abuse, if your caregiver stole all your money, you know, you're not leaving your house, you're embarrassed. If you got scammed by the person over the phone, how many of our seniors aren't telling the police that they got scammed? I mean, that's it. If you're facing a divorce, I mean, a lot of our seniors, their kids just left the nest. Then they get divorced. They just lost their job. Yeah, ageism, right? Or loss of their loved one. Their husband just died, or their child just died of cancer. They get depressed, so they're not leaving the house. Then they become socially isolated. It's sad, but this is what happens, real life. So that's why it's important for us to reach out to our neighbors, to our friends that we haven't talked to in a while. So how do we improve this? The number one thing that we find with our seniors, getting our hearing checked, right? You might not know that you're missing out on conversations. It's because we can't hear. So that's the number one thing. Make it a thing to just go on a walk around the neighborhood. You might not have seen a neighbor from a while ago. Have that 20-minute conversation. Get moving. Come here. We have a $1 a class exercise class. It's chair-based, so you can't use that excuse that you can't do it. The instructors can make any changes to make it so you can do it. Talk to your neighbors, I just said that. Take a class. You ever wanted to learn watercolor? Mount Diablo Adult Ed has some, you know, you have it in your folders. Anything you wanted to learn, you can learn it. Nobody has to be a pro. Are you joining the Olympics now? I don't think so. Nobody cares. You're just learning. Volunteer. You want to volunteer and go play with the dogs down at the animal shelter? Do it. Now's your chance. You don't have to adopt them. Just go play with them. It's your turn. Do what you want to do. Exactly. So the benefits of being socially connected. You improve your mental health, enhanced physical health. You go out and start walking. You get fresh air. Increased longevity. You live longer, happier. Your boosted self-esteem. You feel better. You make more friends, so then people check in on you. If you haven't shown up at the senior center for 3 days, they're coming to me. They're like, hey, I haven't seen Jeff for 3 days. Is he okay? Have you heard from him? No, I haven't, so I'm going to give you a call and find out where you are. Enhanced quality of life. Yeah, your life just got better because now you've got a place to come 3 times a week. So how do we play a part here at the senior center? Well, we've got so many activities. See that guy holding the wine? He's 90 years old. His wife has Alzheimer's. And he's here. He doesn't look 90, does he? Monday through Friday, that lunch program that's going on in there. We have a travel program. You want to go to New York City, that's where they're going in the winter. But we also have day trips. They just went yesterday and toured the Capitol. But they go all over. Just day trips. You don't have to spend the night anywhere. Educational presentations. Yesterday, Medicare came. HICAP, and they told all about the Medicare changes coming up for open enrollment. But we also have fun classes. It's not all about just educational, it's fun educational stuff. We have fitness classes. You want to do aerobics? There's a dance class going on in the back. You want to go look at that? He does 4 dance classes. Hip hop for seniors. You want to do hip hop? Go check it out after this. He's cute too. You want to see that? Go for it. Events. Next Friday, Oktoberfest. This room right here. You can buy your ticket at the front desk. Volunteer opportunities. Dagny at the front desk, she's a volunteer every Friday. And we do so much more. Anything we do it. You think of something. We're open to ideas. Any of these gals here I see, they know it. You can come talk to us, you find us. We're here every day. Does anybody have any questions? That's my whole, I was told to keep it to 5 minutes. I think I did pretty good.
Our next speaker is Liz Avalos. Liz is a program manager at Well Connected. Well Connected is a program that is within an organization called Front Porch, and I'll let her tell you a little bit more about that.
Well, thank you, Vicki. Thank you so much, and the team here for inviting me to be here with you all today. It really is a pleasure, and it is my favorite thing to do is come out and talk to people, so thank you so much. I'm going to talk a little bit about Front Porch, and I'm sure that some of you have heard about Front Porch already to some capacity, but it really, at the center of Front Porch, the whole organization, it really is to create community, to empower older adults, to empower individuals to live more connected and fulfilled lives, and they do that throughout the organization in every program and every housing that they have. Our vision is to empower individuals and older adults. I really want to talk about our mission because that's going to be really important, but our mission is to build, to inspire and build and cultivate meaningful relationships, experiences that respond creatively to the changing needs, and we're going to talk about that. And our values here, it's a little bit cut off, but are to connect, collaborate, inspire, build creativity, build trust, leadership, responsibility, and embrace change. And you can find those on our website as well. I'm gonna just briefly, we were basically talking about this, but what I want you to know is that I like to define it. I like to say it. Stigma is a mark of shame or discredit. Ageism is a prejudice or discrimination against a particular age group, and especially the elderly. And so at Front Porch, we really seek to break that cycle in everything that we do. And I will just say, that's something that I've learned and embraced myself. It's something that I grew up in a household of, covering the grays, or you don't show your age, and it was something that I learned, and now I like to ask people all the time, like, what's your favorite thing about aging? And at 41, I could say it's getting gray hairs. Like, I literally will see 5, and I'm like, okay, this is great. I want to dye my hair gray. I love it, and I want to embrace every stage of aging because it's just a different me embracing the stage. What can I do in this stage? So it's something that has helped me in my aging, is being part of these programs and being able to connect with everybody. I think it was, I'm sorry, I missed the name, the person, Holly, yes. She was talking about social isolation and loneliness as well, and we can see that research has linked it to a variety of things, and I won't go over it again because she did mention a lot, but here's some of the items that it is connected to. And that's why it's so important, as she mentioned, to stay connected. She did talk about that in-personal connection, which, by the way, I'm ready to sign up for New York, so not sure if I can, but I am ready. And that is so important, but we want to also find a way to be able to connect people in the technology world, to be able to kind of combat that too. Yes, it can be a form of isolation, but really we can use it to our advantage to connect as well. So our program, specifically Well Connected, and other programs within our organization have actually been modeled by some of Gene Cohen's work. Here's a couple of the books if you are interested. He has a book called The Mature Mind, in The Creative Age. I have not read The Creative Age, but The Mature Mind is a very great book. And so what he did is he did a study where he connected people to programs. And he basically wanted to see how they affected them. And what they found is the people that were in the group, they were experiencing better health, they had less in medications, they had less in doctor visits, they even had less falls, just because they were part of this community. So we wanted to take that, some of his research, some of his findings, and see how we can incorporate that into our programs and what we do at Front Porch. It's really embedded in all our programs, and I'm gonna briefly talk on a couple of our programs, some that you may have already heard of. We do have Home Match, which I believe is here often at the Senior Center, so you may have heard of Home Match, and it's just an intentional way of connecting people with housing. If you do have a room in your house that you want to rent safely, I would say connect with them, because they're very intentional about the way they connect you with someone that may be a renter, or if you're wanting to rent. It's something that they have a process with, that they actually do interviews, they screen, and they do it in a safe manner so you can feel confident when you are interested in having someone in your home. We have creative engagement programs like Create a Spark that comes to different or goes to different organizations, whether it's housing, senior centers, and helps them with their program to liven up their programming. We have Ruth's Table and Front Porch Gallery, which are both galleries are intergenerational. One is in San Francisco, one I believe is in Carlsbad, and they really do connect with the community, offer programming and an inviting space for everyone to be able to connect. And then we have our social connection programs, Well Connected and Well Connected Espanol, that we're going to talk a little bit more about. So Well Connected, and I think that some of you guys have heard about Well Connected. Every time I come to an event, usually there's a couple of people that tell us about the program, about how they love the program. Either they volunteer, or they are part of it, or have a family member that is part of it. And I will say that usually when I'm at a tabling event, I have a full table of catalogs, of items, of things for you guys, and it looks robust. And today, I'm actually more like a plain Jane. I don't have that many items on my table. There's a reason for that, and it goes back to our mission, because we are in a transitional period, but we are still very much here and ready to support everyone. Well Connected is a virtual community of older adults that connect nationwide. So maybe somebody doesn't maybe have a ride to go somewhere, and even if you do, it doesn't matter. We have people that are very active and still active in our programming. Or maybe, there's something that you can't find somewhere that you found on our programming. Or maybe you just want to add a couple things, whether it's you want to learn about French, or you want to travel every Monday instead of being able to travel once, and you can do that with us on our programming. It's all virtual, accessible on a computer or on a phone. And this is where people get tripped up. They're like, what? You can do this on a phone? Yeah, you can call in and you can call in and travel to Europe. You just call in, and you're basically engaging with the person that's telling you all about that experience when they traveled. And you may be thinking, well, how do I see this if I'm on a phone? Well, we're very intentional with our programming, so you're going to actually receive, if you've registered, you're going to receive the presentation ahead of time. So when they're telling you, right here on this picture, you're seeing that, this is the fountain that you're seeing, the water fountain. You're seeing it because you have that already in front of you, whether it's on paper form, the PDF emailed, or if somebody is low vision or blind, we are making sure that our presenters are detailing what's on the screen so they get a visual experience as well. They're able to hear that. So we're just very intentional with our programming. The reason I say we're in a transitional period is because we very intentionally created a platform to include everyone. Those that may be low vision, blind, aren't able to connect, need call-ins, you name it. We tried our best to be able to connect every single person. When an obstacle comes our way, we say, how can we make this better? In connecting with that program, it's no longer a functional system, because technology has its ups and downs and its breaks. So what we did is we pivoted. We're now on Zoom connecting people, still on the phone, still doing it very intentionally, still making sure we're calling people in, but we had to reduce some of our programming because of it, but only so that we can come back bigger and better. And we haven't left, so not necessarily come back, but show up in a couple sessions with that same catalog that you're used to. So I will just say that when you see that and you see there's not many catalogs, or you're familiar with us, Don't get discouraged because we are working on it to regrow that, but there's still so many more options to choose from. All of our lifelong series are still running, so those are still running, and that's our armchair travel. That's what I was talking about, is you can every Monday join, and that's I moderate armchair travel. I love armchair travel. It's one of my favorite ones. I don't get to travel as much. I have a 2-year-old and I just don't really have the time. I would take her with me, but it'd be a lot to go to Europe with a 2-year-old right now. So I love joining every single week and hearing about these experiences that people are having and also being able to see that. We have art insights, we have museums at home. Docents come and actually give these, they're talking about all the art, they're walking you through it, so the exhibits. So it really is intentional, it is beautiful. We have health and wellness, so if you want to hear about the latest from professionals, sometimes from doctors, different professionals that come talk about your health, and what you can do to improve your health, you can do that from the comfort of your home. Either you're on a computer or you're on the phone, any way you choose to connect. And then we have lifestyle and culture. And then you'll also see that you'll see that the print is also in Spanish because we have Well-Connected and Well-Connected Espanol. So we also have programming in Spanish as well. So this is what our calendar may look like a little bit more now. There may be a couple additional offerings. As I mentioned, we reduced our programming this session so that we could just adapt to the changing needs. And that's why I talk about, Front Porch and its mission, because, when this happened, they didn't say, okay, well, this is it. They said, okay, well, since we're having this, how about we just make it better? And that's really at what the heart of what they do. If you are familiar with Front Porch at all, they have housing all throughout California. And down in Southern California, they brought into their residencies, they brought a chef that was taught in France and is I don't know if he's a 5-star chef, but I met him and oh my gosh, did his food look delicious, but they wanted to change the culinary experiences in their residencies. They vamped it up. They're very intentional in everything that they do. So it didn't surprise me that when they said, this is not, functioning so well, I said, okay, well, let's just make it better. So right now it might not look that much better, but I promise you that it will look better. Accessibility is at the heart of everything that we do. We want to make sure that we are accessible for all. Those that have low vision, that are blind, that may not be able to go out, that may have a problem with technology. I actually will be hosting How to Connect on Zoom. So if you're somebody that's like, I've always wanted to connect on the computer and I have it, but I don't know how to use it, don't worry, we'll walk you through it. Whether it's a one-on-one call, whether you're connecting on my Zoom training, we're here to basically help that be a good connection. And you don't have to connect on Zoom. You could also call, it is Zoom, but you can call us in too. It doesn't have to be on a computer. As I mentioned, we have our visuals mailed out, so you can engage in the presentation with your visuals at home. We also have customized calendars. Again, this is something that's going to be coming back in the next session, but customized calendars that come to your time zone because we are nationwide, so you don't have to think about how to, what time zone is this in? And then we have large print, audio files, Braille files, so we make sure to meet you where your need is at. Some of the community that we serve is we serve participants from the age range of 60 to 100 years, and volunteers are 18 and up, so it can be intergenerational. There's no income limits because we're not going to ask how much you make to qualify. It's all throughout the income spectrum. Participants may live at home, they may live alone, they may live with family, but it doesn't matter. You can still face isolation or loneliness wherever you're at. We have participants who speak primary languages other than English, and many are people of color. Some participants are managing mental health concerns, and we also have participants all throughout the LGBTQ+ community. Our location, so we are a nationwide program, but we do have some volunteers that are even international. We are not broadcasting to international, but sometimes I met somebody at a 4 a.m. presentation. Yes, I gave a presentation at 4 a.m. because that's how much I love to talk, to the Rotary International Club, where I met a volunteer that was in Spain and said, hey, he's from the US. He said, I want to volunteer. I said, okay, let's do it. So he gives a hobby chat that he joined our group. So yes, we have volunteers. Even if you're wanting to volunteer, you don't have to be a participant. Are you passionate about something? Is there something that you want to share with people? There is a space for you. And while we're limited right now, that doesn't mean we can talk about what that will look like after. And we also have other volunteer opportunities like calling people in. We have a lot of opportunities for you to volunteer. And the best thing is that you don't have to leave your home. I mean, it's great to leave your home. You have those options. You have the senior center here that provides amazing resources and fun for you to have. But on those other times where you have that gap, you could do it from home. We also serve as a barrier for elder abuse. So because we have that connection, when people call us, they don't get an operator. They don't get like a virtual operator, virtual assistant, or AI. They get Maria, or they get Liz, or they get Kelly. That's who they get. And they form those relationships with our community as well as our directors that are very hands-on too. So we do serve as a barrier for elder abuse. If you do want to refer someone, you can definitely refer them by either looking on our website online. I think that right now it's not activated, but that's our phone number, and I am at the table, and even though it looks bare, I'm there, and I love to chat, so please come chat with me, and I'll give you a postcard that has our phone number on there as well. And just want to say thank you so much. Thank you, Vicki. Thank you for all of you for having me in this space. Love to conversate more, so when you have time, I'll be back there if you have any questions. Thank you.
So our next speaker is Miss Dana Simmons. Dana, many of you know Dana. In fact, it seems like Dana knows everybody. She is one of my fellow commissioners, but she has also been a volunteer here at the Senior Center and for the City of Pleasant Hill for many years, and she'll tell you a little bit about that. And all the people that she's met because of her volunteering. So we just have this slide to stay in the background for her. But Dana, please come on up.
I didn't even know I had a slide. I'm kind of excited. That's it for me, though, in terms of
It's all right.
slides. Thank you. If you're looking for something fun and exciting and different to do, volunteering might be for you. I can't recommend it highly enough. Volunteering literally changed my life. I moved to Pleasant Hill in 1994, and volunteering helped me make new friends. I learned a lot of different skills, and I helped create cherished local events and traditions. And on top of that, it just felt good to give to the community. Pleasant Hill is a wonderful community. I grew up in San Francisco, so it's very different from what I was used to. When I moved here, I didn't know anyone in town, and I was working full-time in San Francisco. My neighbors were wonderful, but I wanted to meet new people. My first volunteer position was on the Civic Action Committee. I met Dot Foley there, and she and I became instant friends, and we're still friends. I got a text from her yesterday. We thought a concert on the lake at City Hall would be a fun thing to do to bring the community together. The first concert was a hoot. My friends at the State Bar, where I worked, were the first band, and there were like 12 of us in the audience. Now, the program has grown over the last 25 years, and every summer, there's hundreds of music fans out there. So sometimes you just start something small and people take it and make it something better and bigger. Then the Pleasant Hill mayor came to the Civic Action Committee and asked us to start a citywide volunteer day. His vision was to help have volunteers help people throughout the city. As we saw last month, it became a great success with hundreds pitching in every year. After my time with the Civic Action Committee, I became a proud member of the Friends of the Pleasant Hill Library. Sorting, organizing, and pricing donating books was my weekly task. Working with friends and library staff, I learned so much about books and book sales. And the sales helped the library. They were these big, sprawling, and we'd have thousands of books out in the parking lot. But now, volunteers have taken it further, and they've opened 3 retail stores, even one in Walnut Creek. For many years, I served as a volunteer dispatcher for the senior van service. They provide low-cost rides to seniors who need help getting around town. I got to chat to so many different people I would never have met, and I actually met a couple of them. And I became friends with the drivers. And Joe today is here over at the table. So if you're interested about either volunteering or about rides around, they will take you out of town to medical on a few days, and for a whopping $1.50. So if you need assistance, please go see Joe. So I volunteered with other you know, it sounds like I don't have a life, but lots of times these things, they're only a couple hours a month. You know, it sounds, you know, if you spread it out over the years, I'm sure it's hundreds of hours, but like right now, the things I'm doing maybe take 5 hours a month. So you can be very active with just donating a couple hours of your time. So, but one of my, I volunteered with others, but one of my favorite experiences was serving as the board president for the Pleasant Hill Senior Center. The Senior Center is bustling with so many activities to enjoy. You name it, they have it. Trust me. And if they don't, talk to Holly. While on the board, I represented the Senior Center at the Commission on Aging meetings as a liaison. Now I'm a member. I also served on the Police Commission to represent the elders in our town, which is a great group of people. Now don't boo me. After 31 happy years in Pleasant Hill, I made the big move to Rossmore. But you can't get rid of me easily. I co-lead monthly TED Talks at the Senior Center, and I serve on the Commission on Aging. I love this town. My body might be in Walnut Creek, but my heart is in Pleasant Hill. It's been an honor and a pleasure to volunteer in Pleasant Hill.
Does she make you want to go out there and do something? Yeah. So, you know, I said my volunteer job is my commission job. Well, one of my other volunteer jobs is as membership chairman for the Pleasant Hill Garden Study Club. And they are also represented here today by my friends Susan and oh my God, Vicki. Patty. I tell people I have anomia. It's actually the medical term for you can't figure out a word. In case you want to say something that sounds more interesting than I forgot. Anyway, so there are a few organizations that we kind of haven't mentioned that are here today that I just really quickly want to point out. We have the Mount Diablo branch of the California Writers Club. Jessica will be talking to us in a few minutes about the library. And right now, she's coming to talk to us. And, we have Mary Mixers, who have been around for a long time in Contra Costa and host a couple of dances a month. And I hope you go talk to them. And I'm going to forget somebody if I do this, so I should never have started. But, you know, we have the people from AARP are going to be talking to us. We have a representative from Meals on Wheels, and you're like, well, I don't need Meals on Wheels. Well, you might want to volunteer for Meals on Wheels. They have a friendly visitor program as well as needing drivers to actually deliver meals. And we have Mount Diablo Adult Ed, who she's actually going to talk to us in a few minutes too. One of my favorite things in all of Pleasant Hill, all the wonderful things they have. We have people here from County Connection, and we mentioned Joe in the senior van. So make sure you get to see those people too, if you know, in addition to our speakers. So this is Miss Jessica. She is the adult librarian for our wonderful Pleasant Hill Library, which is one of the branches of the Contra Costa County Library System, of course. Jessica, amongst other things, I know that she organizes the book club that I'm in on Mondays. That the library book clubs are amazing because not only do we pick our own books, Jessica gets the books for us. They're sitting there at the front desk and we just go up there with our little library card and grab the books. It is the easiest book club ever, so there are a couple of them there amongst the many other things she'll tell you about. So Please welcome Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Jessica Lilja. I'm the Adult Services Librarian at the Pleasant Hill Library, which is just about 5 minutes from here. Though from the people who have stopped by my table, I can tell I might be preaching to the choir because it does seem like you all have library cards, which is wonderful. I've been with the Contra Costa County Library it'll be 13 years in January. I started at the Danville branch. I've worked in Walnut Creek, El Cerrito, and Martinez, and now Pleasant Hill, so I've been around the block, so to speak. But the Pleasant Hill Library is a wonderful place to work. The new building was funded by Measure K, which passed in 2016, which granted us, among other people, a $24 million bond to build our new facility. So it opened in July of 2022. We're still the newest building out of the 26 branches in Contra Costa County. We are always busy. This is one of my favorite tweets. I think a fun piece of library trivia is that most libraries don't have enough space for all the books, movies, magazines, etc. that they own. We depend on a portion of it being in your homes at any given time, so in a way we are all the library. And that is true. The library has about 75,000 books in just Pleasant Hill alone, and at any given time, about half of those are checked out. So if everything came back at once, we wouldn't have the space to shelve it. And this is one of our children's programs. We had the Transformers come. So some of our branch statistics, as I said, we opened in July 2022 with over $1 million of new books. Over 4,000 people visited us on the first day. At this point, we've circulated over 1.1 million print items and created over 20,000 library cards, and about 300 people visit us annually. We also offer about 700 programs a year, engaging 69,000 participants, and our most popular program is always story time. If you've tried to come to the library on a Wednesday or Thursday morning, you might see that our parking lot is full to bursting. We get about, 250 people at every story time. And I covered story time yesterday, and at one point I looked up and it was just a sea of children and parents, and I was like, oh, it's a big crowd, rowdy. Yes, so our collection of 75,000 books is about 7% of the overall county collection, but we circulate books at a 40% higher rate than any other branch. So when we say we are busy, we mean we are the busiest, most bustling library in Contra Costa County. And it's very obvious that you guys really love and utilize your library, and we appreciate that greatly. We have a lot of different kinds of programs. Our biggest countywide program is probably summer reading. We also do a countywide book club that's coming up in November. They're reading James by Percival Everett, and the author is coming to do a talk in Pittsburgh at Las Madonnas College, which is free to attend if you're interested in that. The Pleasant Hill Library, of course, does our own programming. Our most popular place in the library is likely our maker space. If you've ever walked by, you might see some things happening in there. We offer sewing classes for tweens, and that's very, very popular. So it's kind of becoming a lost art, making your own clothes, making your own little projects. So that happens every week on Thursdays. You can also drop in Monday evenings to see everything that happens in the makerspace. We have 8 sewing machines, we have a 3D printer, we have a laser cutter. So if you're ever interested in learning how to use those machines, volunteers and staff are there to help you. Volunteers really help us function at the library, so if that's something you're interested in, you can always apply to volunteer at any one of our branches. They help with our programs, they pull our hold lists, they help us shelve, and they really keep us running very smoothly. We have a lot of cultural events too, and then I do try to aim a lot of my Monday evening programs for seniors. We had Medicare last month, and then if you visit my table, you'll see some of the upcoming things that I thought you might find interesting. I know Dana touched on the Friends of the Library, which I loved to hear. But it is an all-volunteer organization. The Friends volunteer over 16,000 hours every year to run their big, bustling operations. Since 2020, they've raised over $1 million just through their 3 brick-and-mortar bookstores and their online marketplace. So all of that money comes back to the library. It funds our programming and also books for our collection. And then I wanted to touch on some of our digital resources for those of you who don't know about Libby. It's our most popular platform. It's our and audio book platform where you don't even have to visit us at the library, though we love to see you. You can download straight to your iPad, to your Kindle, or to your phone and read or listen. We also have Hoopla, which is relatively new to us. So with Libby, it's like a traditional library, right? If something is checked out, you might have to wait your turn for it. Hoopla is on demand. So there's no waiting. You can check out what you want when you want to. You're limited to 4 checkouts a month. So putting them together, you have a pretty comprehensive catalog of ebooks and e-audiobooks. Canopy is our streaming platform. So if you want to watch award-winning movies and documentaries, Canopy is available to you with your library card. And then I always like to highlight Discover and Go, which is our museum pass program. There's museums all over California and a few in Nevada where you'll get either low-cost pass or free passes to visit on a day of your choice. So that's worth checking out. If you have any questions about the library, how we can help you utilize it, how you can help us, please make sure you stop by our table, and I'd be happy to chat with you. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm learning things. I hope you're all learning things. I have a hard time not talking about Mount Diablo Adult Ed because I have literally been taking classes there since I was a 20-something-year-old. And everything from woodworking to ballet, so I'm a big fan. So there you go.
You could just keep talking.
Yeah.
This is great. I'm not. Good morning. I'm really excited to see all of you here. It's so encouraging to see you are the ones who are connecting already. So congratulations for being at an event like this. I do worry about the people who aren't here. And if I just am trying to think to encourage myself and to encourage all of you to, if you know those people who aren't here and you think, oh, I wish they had been there, just to encourage them to go and say, maybe talk about one of the things that you saw here today, because I think you saw all these statistics that the connecting is really important for, it's important for you all, but it's also important for me and for Holly and for others who've spoken. You're part of our lives and the community, so it's just, I just wanted to start with that. It's very important. I'm happy to see you here. So my name is Jan Schmitz, and it's fun to go up to the library because we're neighbors with the library. So if you know where Pleasant Hill Library is, you're close to where Mount Diablo adult education classes are, but we're hidden. We make it as hard as possible for you to find us. If you continue away from the library, we're in the back of the campus, and we share it with the Pleasant Hill Middle School. So we are the back lot of that campus. And it's very hard to find us. So I just wanted to start with that. We're part of Mount Diablo Adult Education. And if you live in the district of Mount Diablo Unified School District, you receive a catalog. And we are part of Mount Diablo Unified School District. You have to be over 18 to take a class with us. So that's why we ask your date of birth. We card you, but you need to be old, not young, to do that, So anybody, we have students from 19 to, I think our oldest student right now is 96. But our classes are in the back of this catalog, and we're called Lifelong Education. So Mount Diablo Education has a really big campus in Concord that has things like ESL, adults with disability, parenting education, career and tech classes. And then we're on the Pleasant Hill campus. We're the only adult classes there, and they always give me a bad time about being the fun classes. And I said, yes, we are the fun classes. And we don't give grades, but part of my job is to tell you how you can come to our classes and get an F in our classes and why we encourage that. So I have this little letter F that's made from the scroll saw class That's one of our classes that doesn't take major training to do woodworking. I'm just kind of selling that class. But what the name Lifelong that's our classes, is perfect because it has life in it. You can take it lifelong, you can take it for many, many years. And they're classes to encourage a long life. You're coming to boost your energy, to learn a new skill, whatever it is. As all these statistics have said, taking a class really boosts your health, your physical health, your mental health, and your social health. So I'm just one of, our school is just one of these great resources that are here. I've been hearing about the Y, and that's in the neighborhood, the library, classes here at the senior center. We're all part of your environment wherever you find that connection is great. I love hearing. So if you come and talk to me, if you've taken a class with us, I love hearing about what class you took. It's very interesting, the classes we have, and what you are doing is very interesting. So I just wanted to encourage you, wherever it is, to find that connection. So in our location, these are just kind of pictures of some of the classes we do, from guitar, cooking. We have one man comes every quarter to talk about estate planning. We do fixing your home improvement classes, how to do electronics for fixing your home electronics, ceramics, it runs the gamut from fitness, knitting, major furniture building, basic computer skills. We have a great teacher who, and that one class is at the Concord campus, but she's in the back and she'll talk to you too, and she's volunteers at the library, awesome, for a very intro to the computers. Also, how to use any Apple product, like your iPhone or Photos or Wallet or all those things that I don't really understand. We have a great teacher for that. So I'm just here to encourage you and say, if you have any interest in anything, just try it. Just to try to be curious. Our classes, you do have to pay. We have fees for our classes. We're not free. The adult ed classes that take place at Concord, they get state funding. But we lost our funding back in 2008. You were all there during those years. So they decided, instead of getting rid of them, we'd flip it to fee-based. So our classes, usually the average cost of our class is about $7 an hour if you price it out. We've kept them very, very low. So compared to many other Parks and Rec places, our classes are a little bit lower here in Pleasant Hill. Also, I live in Oakland, and I do a very nice reverse commute. It's kind of nice. Every day, but we in Oakland, we have ESL. I used to teach in the ESL program there in adult ed, but our adult ed does not have these amazing classes. These lifelong ed classes are a huge resource. So I mean, I wish every city had something like this, because they're just incredibly interesting and vibrant, and the amount of choices, the menu of classes we have is very unique. And the quality of the woodworking shops and the wood turning shops, there's a lot going on there. It's really hopping. So it's right down the street. It is about 5 minutes away, but it's an incredible resource for your area. So if you're wondering about the Fs, this is my push about how do you get an F? Why would you want to get an F in our classes? Well, for us, I was trying to hone in on what is it about our classes. But this F right here offers many people 3 vital things. One is focus. I don't know about you, but being on a phone or being pulled by a million different bits of information every day, it makes me really distracted. It makes me maybe less interesting, less able to pay attention. I just find it's stressful to me. So what I see in many of our classes, our jewelry beading class is unbelievable, the focus you have to have. These tiny beads, or in knitting, or in watercolor, or in wood shop and wood carving. That's a really nice quiet class. That's really kind of nice. Some people come 3 hours a week for a 3-hour class once a week. Some people use it like as an art studio. They sign up every quarter. That's where they come to focus. And your body just relaxes, you forget other things. That is a gift. So part of our classes offer this F, the focus. Another one is future. I think at this point in our lives, I was going to say earlier, on the smile for aging, I think I'm down here. I'm not quite at the happy smile. I'm still working. I think that keeps you down here. Also, I have a 92-year-old mom, and she said recently, I think she just read a really interesting book called The Country of Old. I don't know if you've read it, but she said, I think I just arrived at the country of old. She's 92, and she's still driving. She's a very active person. I feel like in my journey, I think I'm on the ferry boat. I'm on my way to the country of old, right? But we're all going together. You're traveling together, and you do things as you're going there. You do things on the country of old. It's kind of interesting. I really liked that. I was going to say, just leave it on that photo of the beautiful mountain and the water. It's so peaceful just to look at that. So if you are on the country of old, explore it. There's interesting things on that country. That's so. The F for future. You have a future that is different when you sign up for something like a class. I get to see it. People they started with a class, and now their future is now full of whatever that hobby is, or whatever those people that you happen to meet in that class. Your future, you have a future. Tomorrow is your future, So I just encourage you to try something today that you will see it in your future. It makes it a different landscape. So that's another F that I'm bringing. Also, fun, that's just a big thing. I really love my job. I've been there it'll be 2 years. I'm a new person to that office, and I work with Denise. She's the program secretary. The two of us support hundreds of classes. We have so much fun, and we talk to people, come in and chat with us every day, and it's, but in those classes, that's why you go to these classes. It's not for grades. That's why I want you to get an F. You should enjoy it. Do something you enjoy. And then finally, a lot of these Fs lead to one that's really, I see every day in the classes, is friendship. And that's the friendships that we have with students. Denise, who's been there 25 years, she's got a lot of friends, with these students. It doesn't mean you have to see them outside of class, although she has so many friends that she's met in these classes. So if you're a person who then goes on and sees people and is great at keeping connections, you've got a lot of friends there. I like the friends also that I just have in classmates that I see for 2 hours a week. Hi, how are you? Or in the office. These are, you don't see them outside of whatever that part, for me it's work, but it's friendships that really spark something so healing in me. And it's fun. I love to laugh, and so I'm just encouraging you to just seek it out if you can. Even if I'm kind of an introvert, I don't like speaking. I can teach a class, but so it's not my instinct to go. So I'm encouraging you as kind of a quiet person. I like to be a student. But I start talking to my classmates, and if I just make the step of signing up, I really get, it's even for quiet people, you start getting these connections. So we're in the back. Just look forward to speaking to you, and just congratulate you for making connections and getting out there. You're really inspirational. Thank you.
So we're almost up to our last speaker. Our last speaker comes to us from AARP, and a very unique program that I didn't know about it until Dana kind of came across it, and we looked into it, and we're like, this is cool. So I'm all about hearing about what AARP is doing in the Ethel. And I wanted to remind you real quickly that the reason for this activity grid thingy-dingy is Mount Diablo Adult Ed's right there in the middle, and I probably missed a whole bunch of check marks, but the idea is... We do crochet. Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't have time to really run it by the people, but because there are so many things, don't assume that they don't have it because I didn't check the little box. So would you please help me welcome Dawn. Dawn Angelo is one of the regional directors for AARP. She's out of Sacramento, and she's here today to talk to us about, I'm not sure exactly all AARP, but specifically about what is called the Ethel, and she'll tell you all about it.
I love that. When I even get the introduction, I have somebody shouting from the crowd, like, I'm one of the Ethels, so that's fabulous. How many of you are familiar with AARP? Oh, I love it. Okay, that's good too. Well, just in case you weren't, I wanted to make sure to let you know that we're a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization empowering people to choose how they live as they age. And so the spectrum of our work is really quite broad. So have any of you done any of our workshops or online or in-person classes? I see a couple of hands. So we do a lot of outreach and education, also do a lot in terms of local advocacy as well too. And then, of course, if you're a member, you probably might be familiar with some of the discounts and things that we do on that front. But the reason that we're here today is that we wanted to talk to you about the Ethels. And if you're not familiar, it's because it's really quite brand new. It just started. I'm gonna do maybe actually to start is why the Ethels. So our founder was Dr. Ethel Percy Andrus, here actually in California. So those of us that are part of the organization in California always have a little bit of pride point for that. She was a longtime educator and social reformer, and she founded the organization in 1958. Originally, she was a school administrator, and so it was the Retired Teachers Association, and then it just evolved over time into the what you might have known as the American Association of Retired Persons. But we do not say that long name anymore. We just go with the acronym AARP. Anybody want to guess why we just go with AARP? Yes, a lot people are living longer, and it doesn't mean that we're just serving people that are retired. And so people are often doing second careers, third careers, or just because of whatever the reasons, staying in work longer as a part of the workforce. So we are one of the largest nonprofit organizations empowering older Americans, and really enjoy the work that we get to do with that. So who are the Ethels? Well, they are 382,000 women across more than 1,000 AARP Ethel Facebook groups, properties. They're approximately over the age of 55, and about 70% of them are over the age of 65. Many of them are widowed, divorced, or retired, or estranged from family. And so we go back to the beginning of the conversation earlier, in which so many of the others here have mentioned, it's really about social connection and finding that in your community. And just so delighted too, at our table, you'll get a chance to actually visit with Marley Jo. Marley Jo, raise your hand. Marley Jo is the lead here for the Pleasant Hill Ethel group. And I learned today, I wasn't familiar with this, but this Ethel group meets the fourth Tuesday of every month, and they actually have their meeting coming up just this next week. So if you want to just come and check it out, there's no charge, there's no fee, it's a free thing. But come and meet with the other women that are part of the group and see what it's all about. There's also one with Berkeley that meets the third Thursday of the month, and so they just had their meeting last month. And then there's also one that's called the Greater San Francisco Bay Area Ethel group as well too. And you can find all of the information online. We've got some information for you that you can grab to get those materials. But I would think that, just to describe what it really is, it's about having those connections in the community and getting to know people. Before we even started the session today, it was interesting to to hear some folks coming up being new to the community. And so it's an opportunity if you're new, but even if you're not new, it's an opportunity to connect with those that you might not normally have the chance to, just through some of the other things that you already do. So these are some of the women. You'll find them telling stories on Facebook, and again, it's really about building community. And as I mentioned, it really just started in 2020. So the Ethel newsletter kind of launched along with our public Facebook group. Then in 2022, there was a number of kind of these closed Facebook groups. And I believe that for the Pleasant Hill one, which Marley Jo is administrator for, basically what you do is you get an opportunity to say, hey, I'm interested in learning more. And then she will say, okay, you're part of the group. Basically, it just means you're getting information and that sort of thing. The national Facebook group, just you can ask and you get in sort of thing. But regular gatherings that are taking place, and across 48 states with 50,000 members. So it's a pretty big movement if you think about that it just started in 2020. And there's our little flying car for that. One of the things that we've been finding is that people are eager to make a connection, and so that's really what the purpose has been. But sometimes the challenge has been, for us as an organization, is how can we find a simple and kind of welcoming way to help foster, kind of cultivate those relationships locally that can build really what we hope for is some lasting friendships and a sense of belonging and community. So again, back to, kind of creating, we found that the Facebook groups, and I'm just gonna jump here quick, Facebook is familiar and easy to use for both, and I get it. I know some people are like, I hate social media. I might hate Facebook. I don't know. But we are familiar that, right now in terms of social media, we see statistically that a lot of people have familiarity with Facebook, and so it's an easy platform and where to connect. And then the other thing as well is just to reemphasize that joining Facebook is free, so there's no cost involved with that. And again, back to, you can even find the information online, and there's no cost. So here's, if you're looking across the country, there's about 110 groups, covers 46 plus DC states, 46,000 plus members, 210 volunteers like Marley Jo who are helping to make it all happen. And then the number of local events is like 4,500 plus. So as I mentioned with Pleasant Hill, they have that regular monthly cadence of gatherings and getting together, but oftentimes the Ethels, and depending which group it is, they might decide to go to a concert together, or maybe they go to a theater show, maybe they take a class together. So there's different things that the Ethels decide to group, and they do and choose that on their own. And here's just some of the photos, and you can see some of the different types of things that I was mentioning. I forgot to mention bowling. I'm a bowling fan, but you can go to some sporting games, and again, all based on the group. So one of the things that we have an occasion to do is to survey some of the Ethels and find out, is this filling something in their lives? So we know that from 75% of them surveyed, that being a member of the Ethel has helped them to feel a part of the community, and that's huge. 61% say that the Ethel has allowed them to connect with others like them. 57% say that they feel less lonely or socially isolated because of the community, and 29% say that this community has brought me real life, in-person friendships. And I think, going back to, some of what we've heard from the other presenters today, it's kind of just finding your place, right? So, of course, we'd love for you, Marley Jo and I would love to hear you say that you want to get engaged with the Ethels, but anything that you can do to get connected in community is huge. We do have an Ethel store. And one of the things we have back at the table, if you're interested, is a tote bag. So if you don't have enough tote bags, we have another one to add to your collection. But there's also a little coupon that's over there too, that if you wanted to get something from the Ethel store, you have a free for any item with free shipping, and you can pick that up. Thanks to Marley Jo for that. So just again, how to get involved. We've got information back at the table, all of the links. You don't have to try and write it down frantically. We've got the information for you. And as well as Marley Jo has been writing down that information about the Pleasant Hill Club, and in terms of, meeting on the fourth Tuesday of every month. And that is it. So thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today.
So we've kept you much longer listening than kind of we meant to. There are so many other things I can say, and Gail reminded me that I forgot to get the CERT people here, the people in Pleasant Hill that help with emergency preparedness. That's a volunteer organization. We could have had a room full of other volunteer opportunities, and perhaps we'll do that in the future if that looks like something you're interested in. And we could talk so much more about why volunteering is a great idea. So, and I just have to, the one thing I really have to say too is that, there are people, they've done such a good job of talking about, you know, there's friendships on different levels. There's friendships that are long-term ones, short-term ones. Sometimes most of us kind of forget that we just need to reach out to the people we already know. And I just got to be reacquainted with one of my mom's former neighbors. I lost my mom a few years ago, and she used to live in the Ellenwoods, one of the Ellenwood apartment complexes over here. And my mom was a very outgoing person, and you know, she and I needed a little of each other in many different ways, but everybody loved her. And so she met people very easily, and so just in her apartment complex, she ended up at her memorial. There were a number of people from her apartment complex that some of them she played bridge with, some of them she just knew from, you know, visiting with them and getting to know them. And so there are people all around you that want to connect. I guess that's my end message. And I hope that you will connect with some of these people around the room that might have something you're interested in. Please fill out our survey. There is a written survey you can fill out back there. There's also a way to do it with a QR code where you take a picture with your phone and it comes up on your phone. We can help you with that if you want to figure out. It helps the commission a lot to know what people in the community need more of, so please take a few minutes to do that if you will. And is there anything else, Holly or Juanita, that Juanita's gonna?
I will email a link to the survey as well.
Okay, so Juanita Davalos, I just have to tell you all, is our City of Pleasant Hill employee who is, I can't even figure out what all her jobs are, but one of her jobs is she's the liaison for us as a commission, who are all volunteers, to the city. And one of the many wonderful things she did for us today is she got the city manager to approve having this presentation videotaped. So the presentation will be up on our website in a videotape format. I think that the PowerPoint presentations will also be on the website. So if you're thinking that somebody missed this and you wish they had been here, they can go and see those things afterward. We did put a link in the materials there to the commission's website. We do have a web page on the city's website also, so please look at that. There are flyers on the back table with for the Commission on Aging on our next workshop, which I believe is November the 9th. And November 13th? 13th. Okay. So, and that one is being organized by one of our incredible commissioners, Laura Van Akkeren. I keep calling her name wrong, but Lorna is just phenomenal. She sits on the County Council on Aging, but she's organizing, find out about that workshop. It's all about different end-of-life decisions and hospice services and things. So it's kind of a whole shift away from this, but it's very, another topic that is something that the more we know about it, the more prepared we'll be when the time comes. So if you have any questions, hopefully these people can answer them. I can answer any questions that you think they won't answer. But thank you all so much for being here. I'm really happy that you're here, and I hope you've enjoyed learning something new today.